Thanks everyone for being here. I think we're assembled. We'll go ahead and get started. Good morning. My name is Megan Peterson. I'm the Executive Director at Gender Justice. My pronouns are she and her, and Gender Justice works to advance gender equity through the law. We are part of the Minnesotans for Equal Rights Coalition, which is statewide and working to pass Minnesota's Equal Rights Amendment. We really appreciate you being here this morning. We're here today to share the results of new statewide polling and to continue beating the drum for the passage of Minnesota's long overdue Equal Rights Amendment that was blocked from passing the Senate last year during the unprecedented filibuster. In Minnesota, we believe in freedom, fairness, and equality for everyone, no exceptions. But today, neither the Minnesota nor the U.S. Constitution specifically guarantees equal protection under the law based on sex and gender. The Minnesota Equal Rights Amendment would protect equality for all Minnesotans and would provide the strongest protections against growing attacks on reproductive freedom, LGBTQ rights, and civil rights more broadly. Let's be crystal clear. Minnesotans want the ERA. According to this new statewide poll, which was conducted January 23rd through the 27th of this year, 2/3 of Minnesotans, 67% to be precise, would vote yes on an inclusive Equal Rights Amendment. A majority of voters, 55%, support placing the amendment on the ballot next year. While Minnesota's ERA cannot stop or override federal actions like a national abortion ban, it can protect the fundamental rights of every Minnesotan at the state level, cement the rights we've gained, and protect Minnesota's strong anti-discrimination laws from future rollbacks. It is more important than ever that state lawmakers listen to Minnesotans, put the ERA on the ballot, and fight to ensure our fundamental rights are protected in Minnesota, no matter who serves in the legislature or the governor's office for generations to come. And with that, I'll turn it to my colleague, Kat Rohn.
Thank you, Megan. And before I begin, I just want to take a moment to recognize for our own communities the impact of our current moment and to remember Sam Nordquist and hold his family and loved ones in our thoughts. Thank you. My name is Kat Rohn. I use they and she pronouns, and I serve as Executive Director for Outfront Minnesota, our state's largest LGBTQ advocacy organization, serving the state since 1987. Today we're here to talk about the Equal Rights Amendment, and I think it's important to recognize that we are in the midst of a wholesale assault on shared values of democracy, fairness, and equality coming from the highest levels of government. For immigrant communities and for members of our LGBTQ community, particularly trans and gender expansive individuals, we have seen a rapid erosion of the fragile protections that we have enjoyed at a federal level, and we have seen concerted efforts to push individuals to the margins, both through the power of the executive branch and through the rhetoric that is being employed by opponents of equality at every level. These have included attacks on access to appropriate legal documents like passports and Social Security that reflect our identities, exclusion from military service, threats to funding for healthcare providers and schools, and wholesale erasure of language from the federal sphere. I think folks are probably familiar with the recent news that the Stonewall National Monument removed all references to transgender individuals, as well as the T and Q and plus from LGBTQ plus references on their website. And I think that's indicative of this broader effort to push our communities out of public view and out of public life. While we anticipate that many of these actions will be challenged, as we are already seeing, we believe that it is really important, especially here in Minnesota, that we present a credible alternative and a compelling message of inclusion to the message of exclusion that we are seeing at a national level. We recognize that an Equal Rights Amendment here in Minnesota would not supersede federal law, but it would represent a meaningful step, both for enshrining protections here in the state, and it would give Minnesotans an opportunity to clearly assert our own local values at a time of national erosion. We believe in a Minnesota where everyone belongs. And we have seen how Minnesotans have stepped up for that same set of values through efforts around marriage equality and through recent legislation that has passed here in the state. We support the move to put equality into Minnesota's Constitution, not just because it would provide meaningful protections, but because at a time when our communities are under attack, it is important that we give voters the power to speak clearly on their values and to vote in support of those values. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jerry Katz. I use she and her pronouns. I'm the Director of Organizing for Jewish Community Action. JCA has been organizing the Minnesota Jewish community for 30 years for justice. We bring a unique faith voice to our intersectional campaigns for housing justice, protecting our immigrant communities, and combating hate. And our faith teaches us that every human being has the spark of the divine and is worthy of kavod habriot, human dignity. Our community wholeheartedly supports a Minnesota Equal Rights Amendment that protects the dignity and rights of every Minnesotan, not only today and tomorrow, but for generations to come. As people of faith, we have been horrified to hear lawmakers wield religion as a cudgel of hate with a goal of denying their fellow Minnesotans freedom and equality under the law. It is un-American, un-Minnesotan, and absolutely contrary to the values of dignity and inclusion that my faith teaches me, and to the values of so many other people of faith across our state. Last week, my community observed Tu B'Shvat, the day on the Jewish calendar where we celebrate the New Year for trees. In the middle of a Minnesota cold snap, it seems strange to celebrate spring, but even today, the trees are indeed producing sap on the inside, unwaveringly optimistic about the arrival of spring and rebirth. Tu B'Shvat teaches us to recognize the potential for change and renewal. So today, we might look at the weather or the chilling threats to our democracy and our most vulnerable communities and see only endless gloom. But Tu B'Shvat reminds us that change and renewal is already developing, even though it remains concealed below the surface. So we are here today to say that a multi-faith voice for gender freedom is growing here in Minnesota. We have been having hundreds of conversations with clergy, community members, and people of faith who believe that all Minnesotans deserve safety, equality, and protection under Minnesota law, and this constitutional amendment is the best way to make it happen. We're building a large and powerful movement of people of faith that is going to transform our wintry landscape into something verdant and beautiful for Minnesotans for generations to come.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lee Finke. I'm a representative in the Minnesota House, representing District 66A, St. Paul and surrounding suburbs. I use she, her pronouns, and I thank you for being here this very cold morning for this press conference. As you heard from Executive Director Megan Peterson, Minnesotans want an inclusive Minnesota. Minnesotans support the work that we have done over the last 2 years to build an inclusive Minnesota that protects the civil rights of all of our neighbors. This continues to be true. It is more true now than ever as we watch the civil rights that we have worked so hard to defend be eroded daily by an out-of-control authoritarian president and his billionaire friends, I suppose. I don't know if they're friends, but. Last year, we were very close to passing this bill. We had a brutal 15-hour filibustered debate on the House floor, but we came out victorious in the House. Unfortunately, that filibuster was successful, and we ran out of time to be able to get it through the Senate. Yesterday, I was down here, I mentioned the ERA, and I said the politics have changed on the ERA since last year, but I want to be clear that just because we have a tie in the House does not mean that the ERA is dead. I intend to move this legislation as I would any other piece of legislation. I believe that the appetite among Minnesotans for an inclusive constitutional protection for all of our neighbors is what the voters want to support. And I believe that we have a real opportunity in the next year or two to try to find a way forward for this important bill. And I mean, I'll just end by saying that, the work that we have done to protect Minnesota for all of our communities, obviously, as a member of the trans community, a lot of my work is focused there, but I think it's very important for us to understand that the Equal Rights Amendment is an equal rights amendment for everyone, right? It is not about trans people. It is not about any one community. It is about celebrating and protecting difference. And I think that when we look at the direction this country is going, we can see that all difference is being rejected. We're getting a lot of attention on our community right now, and we need you to continue to focus on that attention, but we need to recognize also that all diversity is being attacked. All equity is being attacked. All inclusion is being attacked. And it is not a matter of what's going to happen to trans people. It is a matter of who's it going to happen to next? And how are we as a state going to stand up and defend all of our neighbors? And we have shown, Minnesota has a history of showing that we are willing to stand very strong in support of the people who need it the most. Our immigrant neighbors, refugee neighbors, our incarcerated neighbors, trans people, any community, our indigenous neighbors who are facing threats from this administration just as extreme as anyone. And what we are working on in this Equal Rights Amendment is a protection for everyone in perpetuity in our state constitution. Nothing could be more important, and I am very honored to be the author of this bill in the House, and I'm very honored to partner and to pass it to my Senate author. So without further ado, I'll stop my rant and pass it over to Senator Mary Kunesh.
Not a minute too late, huh? Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Senator Mary Kunesh. I represent District 39, and I am the author of the ERA for the third time, and the second time in the Minnesota Senate. And I'm here really and honestly to say that the most important thing that Minnesota legislature can do right now is to take to the voters the opportunity to provide certainty and stability to Minnesota when it comes to setting a clear standard where no one in Minnesota can be discriminated against based on race, based on gender, sexual orientation, pregnancy outcome, or disability. We are seeing attacks across the board. We are seeing people die. Around abortion rights, LGBTQ plus equality, and DEI from the Trump administration to the Supreme Courts. So the best way that we can protect Minnesotans is by enshrining strong protections into our state constitution. This ERA amendment that we would take to the voters would ensure that even if federal protections are rolled back, our state constitution guarantees equal rights for all. For 102 years, women have been fighting for an equal rights amendment, and we should have passed it back then. 7 years ago, I passed a version of the ERA in the House, and we should have passed it then. 2 years ago, I passed an ERA off the Senate floor, and we should have passed it then. So my parting comments to all of this discussion is that it is time to get the Equal Rights Amendment question to the voters in 2026 because the imminent threats from the federal government makes our Minnesota ERA more important than ever. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll open it up for questions.
I didn't bring my glasses, so you have to tell me, did change ask the ballot title? Is that what those, when you say shall, the words that were asked of people taking the poll, is that the ballot title language? Do you know?
The full ballot language was one of the questions.
Thank you. Yes, the full ballot language was one of the questions, yeah. And then, you know, they also tested various messages and, yeah.
Senator Kunish, you talked about, you know, it should have been passed last year after it passed the House. I'm curious how you see its likelihood this go around, since obviously, you know, DFL controlled legislature last year and now divided government again.
Sure. So I think that we are up to more unique challenges around this, both in the House and the Senate. But I think what it will take is some really good conversations and understanding of what's at risk, both in the Senate and the House. And with those conversations, I am hopeful that we will find a positive resolution and get this passed so that we can get it on to the voting questionnaire in 2026.
You mentioned you passed one 2 years ago, but the language changed
Yep.
since then. Can you go into why it was important to change that language?
It was important that we have the more inclusivity, excuse me, and also ensuring that there are reproductive rights, our gender rights, our LGBTQ plus rights. You know, sometimes we'll hear, this isn't your grandmother's ERA. You know, unfortunately, you know, things maybe were a little simpler back there, but we have a very diverse, we have a very complex community and world that we live in, and more of individual rights, more and more gender rights, reproductive rights are under siege. And if we have to be more explicit in order to ensure that those rights are going to be protected, then that's why we've had to make it broader and more inclusive. No going back. We're not going back.
Senator Kunish, I didn't think that it was the filibuster that stopped this last year, even though there was a filibuster. I thought you didn't have 34 votes in the Senate. If you did, why wouldn't it have been in the omnibus bill?
We still had some work to do at the end of the session, but I was confident that we would have this passed off of the Senate floor last year. We did run out because of the filibuster. We were ready to go, and we just ran out of time.
Why wouldn't it have been in the omnibus bill then?
You wanna?
Sure.
Thank you for the question, because I asked that very, very clearly last year, and you can't, it turns out that legally you cannot put a constitutional amendment into the omnibus bill. Not according to our lawyers. A ballot measure going forward in the constitutional amendment to the Constitution wouldn't have been allowed in the omnibus bill.
So just to be clear, I know that the early, Senator Kunish, the early iteration that you talked about that passed 2 years ago or however many years ago it was, did have some Republican support. They've seemed pretty clear that they don't like this language when it comes to abortion rights. So there's no universe in which you would want to tweak it a little bit to get it over the finish line. Is something better than nothing, I guess, is my question.
We haven't had those conversations as of yet this year. We've been dealing with a lot of other organizational issues. We did have Republican support from the Republican women, the 4 Republican women in the GOP Senate. I have had some brief conversations around this with 1 or 2 of them, and I will continue to have those conversations should we find a language that would be comfortable and still gets the same rights. We don't want to minimize any of the rights of any of the individuals. That is to be seen, but we will continue to do that work, and I will continue to work with the other side of the aisle as best I can.
Isn't abortion a non-starter for them, though?
That's not what I have heard. But I haven't heard them say that it is, or that it's not, that there's just language that they're not comfortable with. And so that would be, again, those conversations that we would have on the side.
And Representative, what kind of work would need to be done to get Republican interest in the House? I mean, what kind of conversations do you plan on having with some of your Republican colleagues?
I plan to have, thank you for the question. I think that I am of the impression that what people were asking for when they elected the current administration is not the administration that they are seeing now, right? People did not actually vote to have Donald Trump do what he is doing to this country and its residents. And I believe that there will be real opportunity to have real conversations with members of the Republican Party, even in the Minnesota House, when their constituents and members of the entire national conversation start to realize that we need to protect people. We need to protect people from what's going on. And I know that on the outside, that could feel like that's an impossibility, right? It may feel like there's just no way this Republican Party could possibly support this. But I reject that. I think that there are real opportunities. I think that the overreach, the sheer cruelty and abandonment of humanity that we are seeing, and that's not a hypothetical, that's a literal thing. People are literally facing complete eradication of their health care. They're losing their jobs. I mean, mass layoffs. These things are going to change the way that people understand the country that we're living in, and we are going to have entirely new conversations within a matter of weeks, I believe, about what we're trying to do legislatively.
If I can just chime in for a moment on the language changes. Even since 2023, the direction, especially at federal courts, has continued to evolve in a way where we just know that we can't count on saying something generally and then, being able to anticipate how a court is going to interpret that. And so, to Senator Knesh's point, that's a huge reason why it was important to be explicit. We often say, like, we did the un-Minnesotan thing and just said what was directly needed, and we want to be really explicit with courts. This is what we mean when we say, no discrimination on the basis of sex. Our belief is there's no version where you could interpret those protections to exclude protecting abortion rights. But we wanted to be really clear about that and not just wait for courts to interpret it, because I think in this moment we can't just assume that courts are going to continue in the trajectory of wanting to expand rights rather than roll them back. So that is why, even year to year, the need to strengthen and be more explicit in the language has been so important. Are there any other? Yeah.
Are you aware of any other states that are taking the same type of direction to protect the rights?
Yeah, so New York passed a state equal rights amendment with a lot of similarities to this language in November. I believe it passed with over 60%, I don't remember the exact number, but over 60% of support at the ballot. Oregon is also looking at putting an equal rights amendment on their 2026 ballot. A number of states have equal rights amendments already at the state level, but I think the trajectory of them is to become more inclusive and more explicit, and we're hoping that Minnesota can be part of building some momentum state by state towards really, again, clearly articulating these are the expectations that all people should be able to have protection around from their government.
Senator, can I ask you one more question? You mentioned that this is not your grandmother's ERA. Speaking of that, I would have expected ERA Minnesota to be here today. Were they invited? Is there some reason why? So you're endorsing this whole?
100%.
We can do it without our allies. This isn't a,
Actually, that's Betty saying that she's out of the country right now, so yeah.
but I am a grandma, so I would like to get this done, not just for my daughters, but for my granddaughters and those future generations going forward, absolutely. And not just the daughters, but all of our children.
In Minnesota, ERA Minnesota is a member of this new broader coalition, Minnesotans for Equal Rights, too. All right, any last questions? We'll close it up. Thank you so much.